What is up, Dynasty Leaguers? It's your boy Addison Hayes back with you guys to introduce today's video. In continuation with the DLF post-NFL draft rookie mock draft, today's video is going to be the second round of picks 201 to the 212. In case you missed the first round, the link is in the description below, so be sure to check that out in case you did miss it. And the third round of picks will be posted in its own separate video as well. Just a reminder, this draft is just a regular PPR one quarterback league with no additional premiums for any of the positions. So without further ado, let's get right into the picks.
At the 201 spot, I'm back up, and I have my choice between some wide receivers, but I want to take another running back. One Clyde Edwards WR at 101, 201 Keyshawn Vaughn, the newest member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We all know what BA does with his running backs. Ronald Jones, they're probably going to be a 1-2 punch at least in year one, but I fully expect Keyshawn Vaughn to win that job outright. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, run between the tackles, and he's really good in pass pro. So I think he's a perfect fit in that Tampa Bay offense. And to get my sixth ranked running back here at the 201 spot, pair him up with one of the top running backs, I think that's a win. I mean, we can easily see Keyshawn Vaughn going in the first round of rookie draft. So to get him at 201, it's a steal. Pair him up with CEH. I'm feeling good about my squad right now.
What's going on? This is Bruce Mattson, senior staff writer for Dynasty League Football.com, and I'm here to make my pick in the rookie mock draft for DLF. With the second pick of the second round, I'm here to select Bryan Edwards, wide receiver from South Carolina, who just got drafted by the Vegas Raiders. There's a lot I like about him. He broke out at a young age. He owned a large market share of the offensive production throughout his career, and he's a playmaker. He has great ball skills, great at contested catches. He's a good athlete. And he's just an overall playmaker. He just makes plays, makes circus catches. He was the third wide receiver drafted on the Raiders this year, and I believe he's the best one. I think he's going to usurp Henry Ruggs and Lynn Bowden overall in production, and I think he is going to surprise a lot of people here soon within the next couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if we look back at this draft class and we look at Bryan Edwards and think of him as one of the better assets overall from this draft class. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he outperforms all the wide receivers. He's that talented. He just had some things that didn't go his way. He didn't play in a good offense. He broke his foot during the draft process and it caused him to fall down the board and a lot of little things like that. But overall, if his film checks out, he looks like an athlete on tape. And he has decent draft capital. He was drafted in the third round by the Raiders. There's a lot I like about him. I think he's going to be a good asset. And with him going in the second round of rookie drafts, that is a very palatable price point to get a player of his caliber.
Hey, it's me again, Kane Fussell at Devi_Kane on Twitter. And I'm here to talk about my pick at 203, and it was another easy one for me. Michael Pittman was the last of that tier of wide receivers. Michael Pittman, that landing spot at Indianapolis is super interesting. We have on one side of the field a really aging T.Y. Hilton. Also, we have an aging quarterback, and we know that they're obviously going to be getting a new quarterback. We even saw the draft pick of Jacob Eason. Who knows if that's going to be the quarterback of the future, but that's a conversation for another day. But let's focus just on Michael Pittman, right? Michael Pittman, coming out of college, has a terrific catch rate. If we just want to look at some of the stats he was able to put up just this last year, is when he really made that impact his senior year. So we had that senior year breakout of 101 receptions, 1,275 yards, and 11 touchdowns, which is pretty impressive for a senior year breakout. I think at some point when we're just looking at breakouts, we just have to look at the offenses that USC had. And this is the first time, especially with Keaton Slovis stepping into that role at quarterback, that USC was actually able to have a solid offense. So Michael Pittman coming into this at Indianapolis on a team that is a run-heavy offense that does it really, really well. And we just saw another second-round draft pick in Jonathan Taylor, in JT. So, I think it's going to be really, really interesting how that offense moves forward as a whole. I think on every run-heavy offense, you definitely have that possession wide receiver that likes to eat over the middle, whether it's curls, digs, slants, 6 routes, go routes, anything like that. I think Michael Pittman has a great chance to do it. He's a big-bodied guy. If we want to look at just his size, he's coming in at 6'4", 223 pounds, and he uses that size really well on contested catch situations. He makes sure to catch the ball away from his body with his arms extended, making sure that he doesn't body catch those balls. Definitely something that we look for with some of these guys. So that's definitely someone I want to take at the 203, and I think it's really great value in a one-quarterback league.
Frank Gruber here. I love getting Denzel Mims with the 204 in this draft. He's a very athletic player that has great production also, and now has round 2 draft capital to fill out his profile. Love the pairing with Sam Darnold as well. People can talk about the Jets head coach and what that is concerned, but I love Mims' overall profile over many people on the board here now.
So I'm back here on the clock at 205. It's easy pick for me here. I'm going to take the best player on the board and my favorite player in the draft, a guy I've been really high on for quite a while. At 205, I'm going to take Antonio Gibson from Memphis, who went to Washington Redskins. Hopefully they can use him like he can be used. Ron Rivera had a key role in having Christian McCaffrey and what he could do at Carolina. I think, obviously, I'm not going to compare Antonio Gibson to CMC, but what he can bring to the Redskins is that type of weapon, a guy that can be used to spell Geis if Geis actually makes the field. Gibson's not going to be a 3-down running back, but he's a guy that can get on the field enough and have enough of a role in spelling Geis or whoever's the lead back, and he can get 15, 20 touches a game via that way. Like, he can run through the middle. Watch some of what he's done at Memphis. He can get through the middle. He can get to that second level. He's got pretty good vision. He's smooth with the ball in his hands. He's a playmaker, guys, and he's a guy that I love that has shot up the draft boards. He killed the combine. He can return kicks, return punts. He can line out at wide receiver, but he's not as technical as a wide receiver, so that's why he's kind of they did use him as a little bit in Memphis, and he did all right. This last season, he had 71 touches overall for 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, something to that effect. I didn't have the numbers right in front of me for some reason, so I will gladly, happily, every time take Antonio Gibson if he falls to me at 205. The only other option possibly was a quarterback because Burrow was on the board, but I will take electric playmaker Antonio Gibson at 205.
Everyone, this is Michael Moore, staff writer at Dynasty League Football, and with the 6th pick in the second round of the DLF post-draft mock, I'm taking Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. I'd be thrilled to get Aiyuk in the middle of its second round of a rookie draft, as I would any first-round pick in the actual draft. And Aiyuk wasn't just a first-round pick, but San Francisco gave up 2 late-round picks to move up just 6 spots to take him. He was drafted after breaking out his senior season at Arizona State, totaling nearly 1,200 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. He was a weapon in the return game, too, averaging 30 yards a kick return and 16 yards a punt return. His athleticism and explosion are elite, with a broad jump and vertical jump both at or near the 90th percentile. And his reach is an asset, too, with an arm length in the 89th percentile to go along with a hand size in the 76th percentile. Now he'll be deployed by Kyle Shanahan, who loves receivers that can make plays after the catch, not unlike Deebo Samuel last year. Aiyuk should see an opportunity to play pretty early with the departure of receiver Emmanuel Sanders, who saw a healthy 53 targets in 9 games as a 49er last year. And if he can win the starting job right away, you're looking at 100 targets in the rookie season for a second-round rookie draft pick.
With the 19th pick in the DLF post-draft YouTube mock, I'm selecting Laviska Shenault, receiver, Jacksonville. Like with my previous pick, I didn't really consider anyone else. The players I've got ranked in this range are the likes of Antonio Gibson, Bryan Edwards, Zack Moss, and Denzel Mims. I think Shenault is a tier ahead of those guys, and I'm extremely pleased that he's fallen to me at this spot in the middle of the second round. Shenault shows up on film as an elite athletic talent who wins with speed, size, and physicality. PFF's 4th-ranked receiver pre-draft, and 6th for Matt Waldman. He played at all 3 receiver positions and even quite a few snaps at running back, so we know he's versatile and he wins all over the field. He also broke out early for analytics prospects, dominating market shares at Colorado. Landing in Jacksonville in the 2nd round, across from the field-stretching DJ Chark, is a very good spot. He'll definitely see much of the field and receive a very healthy target share. 2 concerns about Shenault pop up for the Surface Dynasty analyst: tested speed and injury history. Shenault ran a 4.58 40-yard dash at the combine, and while that sounds pretty ordinary, he did do it with an upper abdominal injury that was operated on the following week. It's pretty clear to me that a healthy Shenault running a sub-4.5 40 at 6'1", 230 pounds would have done wonders for his draft and dynasty stock. It's the same injury history that's the real concern, though. A torn labrum, turf toe, and abdominal injuries have hampered him, which is a fairly checkered history, but he was taken in the 2nd, so the Jags must have passed their medicals on him, and the sample size of players with that injury history and talent mix is too small to really draw conclusions on. I'm absolutely willing to gamble on his production history and elite traits overcoming these issues on his way to becoming the Jaguars' #1 receiver.
What's up, everyone? Back at you again for the DLF post-draft YouTube mock. And in the 2nd round with my 8th pick, I decided to go with a quarterback who is actually arguably my quarterback 1 for the class, Tua Tagovailoa. I think at this point in the draft, people were mostly still going skill positions, but most of the guys that I was really looking forward to targeting went off the board. So at that point, it's the decision you have to make between choosing, the best quarterback in the class or, the 3rd tier or 4th tier of wide receiver running back. So I think this is a good spot to kind of take a quarterback because, as much as people devalue quarterbacks in single quarterback leagues, in Dynasty, at the end of the day, you still want someone to start for you long term. So I think this is probably a fair spot to take a quarterback. If you need a quarterback, I would suggest you even go a little bit higher, perhaps in the middle to upper part of the 2nd round. I've seen guys like Burrow and Tua go in that range. But for me, I think Tua is just a very complete prospect profile, and I think the draft answered a lot of the questions that everyone had, mainly around his health. Obviously, it's still a risk and a question mark there, but I think the fact that the Dolphins ended up spending their 5th overall pick and undoubtedly millions of dollars in the future investing in Tua kind of tells you a lot about what the doctors and their medical staff did, and hopefully did due diligence to make that type of investment. They weighed the risks and they weighed the rewards and decided the prospect was just too good to pass up. And he's really the Tua Burrow tier. There's a big drop off from them to the next tier of quarterbacks. So I think, he's going to be someone that kind of starts for you for a long time coming. Someone like a Drew Brees where, if you have that quarterback position solved, you really don't need to worry about it for the foreseeable future. So in terms of looking at it from that return perspective, I think you get a pretty solid and high likelihood starter versus some of the dart throws that exist in this area of the draft. So decided to go with him. Hopefully you found that helpful.
With pick 209 in the DLF post-draft rookie mock, Nathan Powell, I select Zack Moss, running back, Utah. Zack Moss is a rare guy to be falling into the late 2nd round with all of the positive indicators that he has in his profile. First, he has the good draft stock. Anytime that you get a day 2 pick at running back, that's a guy who's going to get some sort of opportunity. And he goes to a landing spot that's a young offense, and it's a young offense that doesn't have a locked-in RB1. Devin Singletary, yes, he's the RB1 for now, but I don't think that he is for sure on top of Zack Moss. So we have the draft capital, we have the landing spot that is okay. It's not the best landing spot, but it's still a good landing spot, especially for a guy at his price at 209. And he also has the production. He had 3 straight years of over 1,000 yards and 3 straight years of double-digit touchdowns at Utah. So what you like to see from Zack Moss is that, as well as 2 out of the last 3 seasons, he had 28 or more catches, as well as 13.9 yards per catch. That's a solid yards per catch for a running back in 2020. So with Zack Moss, he has the production, he has the opportunity, and he has the draft capital. So all those things put together, a great 209 late 2nd round rookie pick.
With the 10th pick in the 2nd round of the post-mock rookie DLF draft, I am selecting wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Chase Claypool, who landed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here I had the option to take Joe Burrow. obviously this is depending on your team needs. I think Burrow's a great pick in that 10th slot in the second round. But for me, I'm looking at players who are most likely going to have some immediate production in their rookie year. And I think that Claypool is one of those third-tier wide receivers who is going to make an impact. He's going to make a splash immediately with the Steelers. You talk about the questions with Juju Smith-Schuster. We know what you're getting in Deontay Johnson, but then there's the question mark at wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 with James Washington, and looking at who else is going to be on that starting day roster. I think that Claypool is a player who can get in and get some snaps right away and make an impact. We obviously know what he did at the combine to impress at his size and his speed, and could be a really, really good sleeper pick late in the second round. So I really like him, and I think that he brings great value there in the second round. Obviously, again, if you need quarterback, I think this is a great spot to either be taking Tua or Joe Burrow, but Chase Claypool for me with the 10th pick in the second round.
Hi, Tom Kislingbury here. You know me. With the 11th pick in the second round, I select Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback. Now, I didn't mean to do this on purpose, but I did pick T. Higgins in the first round. So matching him up with Joe Burrow feels nice. Got that little Bengals connection that hopefully is going on for years and years. The reason I like Burrow here, taking the first quarterback in a single quarterback league, is just value. I'm looking at all the other players now, and they're a gamble. I look at Joe Burrow and think you were the first overall pick in the draft. First overall pick. He's going to get room to play. And frankly, he's not a bad player that lucked into being the first overall pick. He's a talented, good player that just had one of the best college quarterback seasons we've ever seen. He was absolutely astonishing. If he even translates half of that, he's going to be a decent NFL starter. So I think there's value there. No, he maybe doesn't have some of the upside that you'd expect in the second round, but we're right at the bottom of the round here, and we're looking for a player that we're fairly sure can be a consistent producer for us. So he's been part of that stable of quarterbacks. In single quarterback leagues, what always happens, you think there'll be loads of them, and then everyone wants sort of 3 quarterbacks, maybe even 4. They run out pretty quickly, and it can get hard to get new ones. So rather than have a guy who might be the third wide receiver on his team, I'm going to go for a nailed-on guy who's going to be a contributor straight away, and I feel very happy about it. So well done, Joe Burrow. You're a member of the team.
Well, I am back on the clock at the 212, and I would have preferred to maybe get a running back at this spot. But it's a little bit of a dead period where there are running backs that have already come off the board that I would have preferred. And I can probably get one at the 312, just depending on what falls. I think there's 4 or 5 running backs that went on day 3 of the NFL draft that may be there at the 312. So if I'm going to take a shot early on one of those guys, I might as well wait and see if they fall to the 312. And if not, I could maybe trade up a couple picks if this was a real life draft. But the 212, I'm going to reach maybe just a little bit and go based on draft capital, based on profile, and a couple things that I really like in this player. And that's going to be Denver Broncos wide receiver KJ Hamler. Now, KJ Hamler, 10th wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft, went to the Denver Broncos and ended up getting picked at pick number 46. So he was the 14th pick of the second round. And many have pushed KJ Hamler down the board because the Broncos took Jerry Jeudy and because they already have Cortland Sutton and they already have Noah Fant. So you wonder where the immediate target's going to come from for KJ Hamler. And when people can't answer that question, they automatically move a player down the board. Now let's look at KJ Hamler's profile. He is a redshirt sophomore that came out of school after his 3rd year. He is the youngest wide receiver in the class. That is the thing that has really helped me keep KJ Hamler in this range ahead of where most people have him. The youngest wide receiver in the class. He does not actually turn 21 until July. So that is something that he has going for him. You know, he's a very young player that you can argue, you know, you may not even need to worry about getting anything from him for the first couple of years. This is a true investment pick for Dynasty. Second thing, 87th percentile breakout age. So you look at what he did in his age 19 season at Penn State. This was his redshirt freshman year at Penn State. Hauled in 42 catches for 754 yards. So I'm intrigued by the fact that he produced early. Another check mark in the box for KJ Hamler. Third thing, he lands on a depth chart that you might say it's really crowded. And definitely it is crowded with Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, and Jerry Jeudy. But what if KJ Hamler is just too good to get on the field? Reportedly, this was going to be one of the top 3 runners at the combine in terms of speed. And I think it's fair to say KJ Hamler would have run a 4.35 or better at the combine. And I think that's being a little bit conservative. There are reports that he could have run a sub 4.3. So check off another box. He's got the speed. Who does this sound like? Sounds a lot like Mecole Hardman from last year. But KJ Hamler had better college stats. He's younger, better draft capital, and maybe even better speed. And Mecole Hardman was going in the top half of the second round, if not the late first round last year in drafts. So the only thing stopping KJ Hamler from being much higher on this board is his landing spot. And we've seen where landing spot, especially at the wide receiver position, can be something that people give way too much credence to, and they push a player down too much. I'm not saying KJ Hamler is going to be better than Jerry Jeudy. They're not even comparable players. The one concern about KJ Hamler is his weight. He weighed in at 178 pounds. Mecole Hardman weighed in at 184 pounds. So just give you some comparisons. There have been guys. The new NFL is not scared necessarily to draft these guys, that are sub 185, 190 pounds. We don't know what his potential is in terms of can he grow into his body a little bit more. To me, KJ Hamler is mostly a slot receiver. He's going to have to prove that he can be a slot receiver. He's a guy that can be consistently on the field and take hits over the middle, not that he has to be used as just a gadget player. So if he can prove that, maybe give him a year or two in the weight room, maybe give him a year or two learning under somebody like Jerry Jeudy. But I think this is one of the most underrated players in this class. He has everything going for him. If you're in a spot at the 212 where you potentially won the championship, you can afford maybe a luxury pick. And to me, there is no better luxury pick in this draft than to take a wide receiver with this speed, with this profile, being the youngest wide receiver in the class. I will just let him sit on my roster, especially in deeper leagues where I am totally fine with there's an injury. I could potentially put him in there, or in leagues where there's potential special teams points. This is a guy that's going to contribute right away, maybe in the kick return and punt return game, and you just never know. What if he gets out there on the field and they find out that his speed is something that they just can't keep off the field? So I'm taking KJ Hamler at the 212. It's one of the best investment picks that I can make. I would prefer him over that entire tier of running backs that are going right after him. Guys like Anthony McFarland, Darrington Evans, Lynn Bowden, Joshua Kelly, Eno Benjamin, DJ Dallas, LaMichael P. Ryan. I would take KJ Hamler over all of those guys, and I just named you 7 running backs that are probably going to go after Hamler. And if that's the case, you're sitting pretty at the 312 to potentially get a running back. So don't sleep on KJ Hamler, and if you're in a good place to take him, a great investment in this year's draft. Thanks again. Talk to you later, guys.
And that is it for round 2 of the DLF post-NFL draft rookie mock draft. Like I said in the introduction, in case if you missed round 1, that link is in the description down below. And round 3 will get its own separate video here, posting shortly. So be sure that if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel, ring that notifications bell to get notified for that 3rd round video and for every future DLF YouTube video here. We're dropping tons of content, lots of great stuff you do not want to miss out. So please subscribe, ring that notifications bell. Like this video as well too, and leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with any of these picks, or if you guys just want to show some love. We always appreciate that. So we will catch you guys later.